Hi, everybody. Mondion Astral Oracles. December 22 is upon us, and you know what that means? It's beginning to look a lot like the Feast of the Unconquered Sun. So we're moving into the solstice, and we've kind of been in this pressure cooker from in years now, right? But in a very concentrated period from the equinox, and then moving into this solstice. And I don't know if you can hear, I'm a little under the weather, so that's kind of part of it. That what they're giving me about the energies right now is that it's this decocooning process where a lot of things are simply being moved out, and they are by these heightening vibration states, these like vibration fevers almost. It can seem very, very intense, but it's also, of course, the way that you get conscious is that you become aware of what's no longer matching your vibration in your environment, and so it can be nice to have the magic poncho to wrap yourself into, for instance, for a little protection. And you can, of course, also you can follow on Coffee, where I also share stuff, and you can also follow my work with natural spirits over at Mind the Wild, and the links are in the show notes. So I hope you're doing good, doing well out there. Much love to you. Dear human beings, this is your friend Umlam of the Arcturian Council, coming to you from the ninth dimension with the love of all the Arcturians, with the love of your galactic brethren, with the love of this great family that is surrounding you in the higher layers of reality, in those etheric aspects of reality that you yourself are becoming more aligned with. And as you become more aligned with them, you may find that great surprises are hiding in these places. So try to take stock of where you are at, as you often do at this timekeeping cycle of yours, this coming to end of a calendar cycle, a year as you call it, and moving into a new one. Because you may find that you have unequivocally moved to a new state of being from when you first began to take an interest in all this weird high vibrational stuff, before you began immersing yourself in inner realities. There was still, let's say, a semblance of normal in your life. There was still a type of attachment to a structured worldview. And what you may have found is that much of a new worldview have in these later years been compressing themselves into your life. That is, you have been in this process of making a more solid grid, a more solid state out of the more disparate parts that existed within you. So what I'm outlining here is that once you felt as if the outer reality was structured and you were moving around in that, trying to get your bearings, then you began to move into these inner states of reality, this odd reconfiguration process. And that itself became a strange type of pressure, something that was forcing you to change, to become more prismatic, to become more diamond-like in your quality, to develop this solid state grid within your inner carbon structure. So indeed, this reconfiguration, it has not only been one of different perceptions, it has not only been of you gaining a different outlook, but it has been physical in its very nature. your bodies are able to hold more light. What does that mean? It means that you are also able to illuminate more of the darkness. So as you have tumbled down the rabbit hole of these inner experiences, these strange new realities, you may have found yourself reflecting, giving off light into different strange mirrors of the funhouse, trying to gauge your own size in these underworld realms. And now, are you prepared to open the door into Wonderland? Are you prepared to decrystallize? Are you prepared to shake off your cocoon? Are you prepared to step out of the cryo chamber and participate in the Starfleet that is going to visit this new planet? Because a new planet is being made around you. You may have seen how it is acting out and has been acting up. You may see how rapid changes in this era that you call the Anthropocene, this era that is marked by human activity changing the planet's surface and environments rapidly, that this is actually a type of do-over. It is a type of reorganization of the climatic structure itself. We can comfort you that this is usually a state that most species who work with technology and work with technological ascension, they have to move through. What it has to do with is partially that you are not very, say, thrifty in your use of energy. Once you discover an energy source, your idea is simply to let out as much of it as possible, and then to catch the little bits that you need to use for your combustion engines or your nuclear plants or so forth and so on. So this is in and of itself a process that can only be sustained for a short while. What we like to do is instead to create these more tight circuitries of energy. But you will move into that as well. You will also move into this, let's call it, sanity of recycling, pun intended. That is, you will begin to understand also that there is a type of life cycle in whatever material that you interact with, as well as in other living beings you interact with. And you cannot simply take advantage of one of those cycles without essentially also creating an energetic link to the entire life cycle of that thing you take in. So this is why you may sense that if you consume something in a plastic container, there is a type of responsibility being created in you as an aware being, that this also needs to be disposed of. It needs to be brought into a cycle where it can be repurposed. Those are logics that are moving into your awareness. But seeing as we are dispensing more of an energy reading and ascension update here, what we of course are also aware that many of you may be looking for is more personal advice. It is our ability to read and understand your energy that you often enjoy interacting with we higher dimensional intelligences for. And your energy is becoming much the same, because notice, for instance, that in your species you will also find that often the most energy charged individuals are those young individuals. They are children and young people And you even find that often as you move into age, you lose some of that surplus energy, that fervor, so to speak. But you will also notice that often it it is the skill that accompanies this accumulation of experience, of awareness as you grow older, that actually serves you better. So even though you have less energy at your disposal, you have far greater mastery of it. You tend to not squander it, and therefore notice that directing little energy is far more helpful than being in the chaotic intensity of energetic explosions. So this you may notice in your own system, that you are becoming quite aware of where you discharge your energy, and you are becoming quite aware of where you replenish it. These are very, very helpful ideas to keep in mind as you move into this era of the solstice, or this period approaching your winter solstice for most of you who live on the northern hemisphere. That is, that you may find that a replenishing impulse is moving into your life, that there is a need to find these daily watering holes where you connect to the infinite energy of the source that creates us all, and that constantly gives off and revitalizes everything that connects and reconnects to it. And you may also then find that it feels deeply unsatisfying for you to discharge this energy in spaces where you sense it is not serving the purpose of a higher good, or your higher will, or selfless action. You may sense that if your energy is not moving into a circuitry where it is being repurposed for something meaningful, then you have the natural impulse to stop doing that thing. And this is a part of this experience that can seem vibrationally dissonant. So our dear friend here, who is also lending us his body to make this communication available to you, well, he may, for instance, be experiencing that this vibrational influx, it is telling him that the intake of sugar, which is a very energy rich, calorie rich substance, is actually something that his body is very averse to, because it also creates these cycles of intensity and depletion. And this is not an effective repurposing of the nourishment that you need to take into your bodies as physical beings. So you are experiencing this in different ways, all of you, but notice that both on a physical level, the level of how you sustain your body, on the level of how you move it in space, how you take care of it, but also on the level of physical activity, and thereby also on the level of emotional relation to others. You are asking for circuitries to be established. You are asking for this amplification that will conserve the energy, and thereby growing it, purifying it, and making it more accessible for you to hold. This, as you move into the termination of this cycle of darkness, and we are being asked by a friend here to apologize to the people on the southern hemisphere, but this is how it goes often for those few of you who live down there, that you have to adjust to, let's say, the overarching energies of the human collective that are then directed towards it being a darker cycle of your sun's planetary cycle around the sun at this moment. So that is that you may be experiencing that growing this light, this sense of Advent, this light that is coming to you, that it becomes more pertinent for you in these dark weeks to preserve the torch that you are carrying in this darkness, to make sure that it is nourished and sustained, because you are flames within a great darkness that you are yet to illuminate. You are still experimenting with exploring your outer reality, and it is very little of it that you have seen yet. You are still experimenting with exploring your inner reality, and it is still mostly invisible to you. So, where can you turn your light of awareness into circuitries that hone and grow the light, that makes what was unseen visible, so that it can be understood and fitted into its whole, so that it can be benefited from not only by you but by other people, by entering into this sharing cycle, this beautiful circuitry of completion that you are all a part of building. This is our message for this month of December 2022, and we are aware that you will be moving into a year. We will be joining you also with some updates on how that year will play out, but the new year 2023 will indeed have very, very different energetic components from this year. So that is also why it is important, as you begin to move into more of a fulfilled, empowered, manifesting state, that you have created these spaces of closed circuitries where things are honed and held, where you also have a protective layer, a deep holy vibration of you that is cultivated and surrounding you. Because the world you will see change much in the coming decade, much as you in the past 10 years have seen yourselves change a great deal into understandings, beings, reconfigurations that you had not imagined at that point. It will all be very interesting. That is our promise. We greatly relish partaking in this ascension of yours, this great development, this great coming to hold hands with the luminous species of this galaxy and of this universe of ours. Therefore, from the ninth dimension, from the star of Arcturus, from the galactic center, we beam our unwavering, unbroken, stable, boundless, luminous love at you. And we ask you to hold that love and to mirror that love within yourself and between each other. Therefore, our blessings, our benedictions, and our wishes of peace. Farewell.